When I come to your city, I'm a new score. Broke your high score soon as I step through the door. Tryna stack my paper up like a bookstore. Money kissing each other like a rock and roll tour. When I come to your city, I'm a new score. Broke your high score soon as I step through the door. Tryna stack my paper up like a bookstore. Money kissing each other like a rock and roll tour.
Hey, Tyler.
Yo. What's up, Piet?
What's going on? Welcome to the New Score podcast. My name is Pat. This is my co-host, TYG, Tyler Pratt. Tyler, how we be doing?
We be doing Sunday. It is a beautiful Sunday. I may go get me a quick 9 in, local course action, little walk, little two-step. But yeah, yep, just another Sunday here without football until we do have football. NCAA is coming out here in a couple days.
I was out on the golf course yesterday, sweating my arse off. I was one hole in and completely drenched. I mean, down here, for the humidity, it gets to you real quick. And I had a gallon of water with me, pounding it throughout and just sweating it right out throughout the whole course. And it was probably my worst round of 2024. So combine that with the heat and the humidity, not a great time out there, but hey, it was good to be outside at least.
Yeah, bro, that was the thing when we lived down there. That was like the biggest thing that I look back on now, because when you get rounds out here, yeah, if it's like mid to upper 80s, the humidity's not terrible, but it's not great. It's just kind of like muggy a little bit, but right, but you're gonna sweat your ass off. But other than that, most rounds you get in New York, you're probably like high 70s, low 80s, not crazy hot. So I do end up sweating, but it's nothing like Florida. When we would go out, bro, if I hit like even a small bucket, I was already drenched by the time we hit hole one. Or if I didn't hit a bucket and we just got right out there, it was like no later than hole 3. That, like, the over under on when Tyler was going to sweat his ass off and soak through my shirt, the over under is like hole 3. It's not very far into the round. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, almost every single time, like 19 out of 20 times we would go golfing, we had a fair amount of alcohol. There was not a whole lot of like real actual hydration. We were just putting poison into our bodies in 100-degree weather and just going at it every time. And especially during COVID, when we had nothing else to do, golf was a big staple in the household. So I just remember sweating my ass off every fucking time we went out there.
Yeah, glory days.
Yeah.
Well, this is episode 31. Today we have our MLB first half of the season recap and All-Star game preview, All-Star festivities. We're just going to go through everything. We're going to go division by division, talking about each division race heating up down the stretch. We're going to talk about trade deadline, potential acquisitions coming up. We'll talk about some teams that are hot right now, some teams that are cold, All-Star games, snubs. We're going to talk about the Derby. So let's get these guests on. Joining us now to talk some MLB first half of the season recap, we got Z, we got Matt, we got Nick, ready to talk some baseball with you fellas. I want to get into, we got a lot to talk about, but I want to get into these division races that are heating up right now. So if we look across the league, looking at the division by division right now, I'm seeing some division races that are going to be juicy down the stretch. One that caught my eye, and I know it caught yours too, Matt, is that American League West.
Well, we're seeing the Astros do what really no one wants them to do, just because of the whole cheating debacle and Yankees fans shaking in their boots. You know, the Astros will be there. It is inevitable. The books had the Astros set at like plus 350 to win the division after their terrible start. which I noticed right away. Great value. But I'm even talking like a World Series run at this point. They're always around. They have that core group that is still there, and they're just a bunch of gamers. We knew they were going to make a run, at least for the division, but I'm talking like they had a couple more pieces, and they are elite. It's going to be tough to beat the Orioles, Yanks, yeah, but they know what it takes, and they got the pieces. I really like them to make a run. Other than that, I think a lot of the divisions have been very straightforward. I think we're seeing a lot of what we may have, predicted or what the favorites might have been. But this division in particular, just a slow start and how they were able to turn it around. And now they're hotter than ever. But it's all about getting hot at the right time. So we'll see if they can do that. But I am on them. They are even money now to win the division and 15-1 to win the World Series, which is a great sprinkle.
We haven't really been pumping up Seattle at all when you guys have come on here. I just kind of think it's been like a consensus thing where we kind of all expect them to fall off later in the year unless they make a big move. I mean, their rotation is something special. I really like the pitching staff that Seattle has, but I feel like that's the team. Like if they can get Vladdy at the deadline, or I mean, Alonso is probably not going to get moved now, but just somebody, somebody that could make put them in the 3, 4, 5 spot in Seattle, they could really have something cooking. So I love what this division is going to be down the stretch. Texas right now, defending World Series champs, there's 6 games back, but they could even go on a run as well. We talk about the potency of the Houston Astros. I think this is going to be a real fun division down the stretch. Personally, I'd like to see Seattle pull it off. I'd like to see them make a move for somebody big at the deadline here. But Z, what are your thoughts on this division? Who do you expect to come out on top at the end?
I think that Houston's going to come out in the end. Just to reiterate Chubbs, they've been there and done that. I think they can flip a switch and they can turn it on when they want. Kind of, I know it was the COVID season, but they did the same thing in 2020. I think they had a losing record, maybe by like 1 game or 2 games. It made the playoffs, and they flipped the switch and made it to the LCS. Talking about Seattle, yeah, I think their pitching staff, they have the arms to win a division, to even make a run in the playoffs. If everything's clicking, they are desperate for a bat. Like you said, if they can make a move for a big hitter, will they? I don't know, but they need a bat real bad. And if they do that, I think I will view them differently.
I'm not going to lie. I'm out on the Rangers. I think this is going to be a 2-horse race. I know they got the pieces. They got the experience. They've been there, done that. This might be a hot take, but I'm out on them. 2-horse race between Seattle and Houston. And yeah, I'm just going to follow consensus here. I think Houston comes out on top. Seattle seems to be the team that is looking to add pieces more, though. There have been a lot of names linked to Seattle, so just get ready because I'm pretty sure someone big's going there. I've seen Jazz Chisholm, Luis Robert, Alonso, Christian Walker. All these names have been rumored to possibly go to Seattle. But the flip side of that with Houston, I'm now seeing that Garrett Crochet, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name, from the White Sox, he might be going to Houston. So that's going to be major problems for the rest of that division if he goes there.
I don't know if that's necessarily a hot take with the Rangers. I can definitely see that, especially considering you never see a baseball team go back to back unless you're the late 90s Yankees. But I think the Mariners pitching is definitely going to carry them, but the Astros just have that, they're going to go get a couple players that we're going to be like you said, if they get Crochet, it's those players that just set them at a scary skill level. So it's going to be a very fun race, but I'm kind of with you on the Rangers kind of falling off here. But that Seattle staff is just, wow.
I looked it up. Adolis Garcia is hitting 215 right now. So you just can't have that. That he was big reason why that team made the run they did last postseason. Like they need him to produce in that lineup, and he's just not doing it. He's hitting bombs still, but the average just isn't there. Tyler, go ahead.
Yeah, him and Simeon both are not playing like they were last year. But yeah, I'm not really in on the Rangers either unless they get a couple of those bats hot, and they sure, but I don't think they will. Houston is just kind of the team we all expect is just going to make the run because they have all the pieces, they have the veteran leadership, they kind of have the roster to make the run. Seattle, as mentioned, has a great rotation 1 through 5. You're not really missing anything. If they can just get those bats in the middle of the lineup, they have a lot of power. If they can just make a move, right, maybe get one of those guys they're linked to, like a Chisholm or someone they can kind of plug and play middle infield and then in the outfield as well, that'd be huge for them. So I'm not out on the Mariners. I think it is going to be a good race just because of their rotation. I think it'll keep them in it down the stretch for sure.
Yeah, those two teams definitely going to be in a lot of talks as the deadline comes around here. I want to move on to the AL Central. This division this is probably the division I know the least amount about, the division I paid the least amount of attention to this season. So we see Cleveland there on top as they have been here throughout the year. Minnesota is starting to get it going, though. They're only 4.5 back now. Kansas City, 7 games back. We talked about them last episode and how they've been a nice surprise. And really the whole division in general, as you look down the line here, even the Tigers, who, I mean, this team's probably going to be selling, but hey, if the Tigers are in the National League, they could be competing. They could be competing for a wild card spot. So it's not all bad there either. White Sox are absolute dumpster fire. We know that. They're going to just be selling everybody at the deadline. There was going to be a lot of names on that team that we're going to be talking about here shortly. I want to go around the room here. I completely expect the Guardians to ride it out with this division. We talked about them just being the most complete, balanced team in this division, and I expect them to carry it here throughout the rest of the way. But Z, what do you think?
I agree with you. I'm picking the Guardians to win the division at this point. Like you said, most complete team. Their lineup has turned a corner this year, and they've been doing it all year. I think something that could happen to kind of put a team over the top, or maybe like I know the Royals are 7 back, have them catch up with the Guardians. If they make a big move, it takes away someone from maybe the Twins or the Guardians could get, by adding. You could just fill holes and not let your opponents, I know it's, common sense, get the players that, maybe they're vying for. Maybe they're both going for the same position and things like that. So I think the trade deadline is going to make a huge impact on the AL Central race.
Yeah, I got the Guardians running away with it. I kind of expected that from the start of the season. They're the best team. The best team hands down. On paper, performance-wise, they have Jose Ramirez, who is just a complete athlete, in my opinion, skill-wise, leader-wise, everything. Tigers, White Sox gone. They're irrelevant. The Royals have come down to earth a little bit, and that, to me, would have stood out, like stats-wise, is their inability to succeed on the road. Their splits are absolutely atrocious. They are fantastic at home, but their road play, they can't win on the road. I don't know if the pitchers aren't comfortable on the road, but they can't win. They can't win on the road. They're an ultimate fade. They got Lugo, they got Roggins. Yeah, they have some solid pieces. But I don't see the Royals really sticking around unless they can get some pieces. Twins, I don't think they have this pitching staff to compete long term. I guess that unless Zach really did say, well, the trade deadline is going to change pretty much every division, but this division in particular, the Twins are going to have a good trade deadline. If not, the Guardians could end up winning this division by, I don't know, they could win by 10 plus games, in my opinion. And with the success of the American League East, I don't see any team from the Central taking a wild card spot.
I think you guys really covered most of it. I will say one thing, and it's not personal at all, but I just hate the Twins, man. They are a team that I can never seem to get on the right side of when I'm betting on them. Like the other night, they were like a -150 favorite against San Fran. They had great form. San Fran looked terrible. They got beat like 7-0 or something. Like I just cannot stand the Twins. Their splits tell you that they're a good team. All the numbers say they're a good team. They can't be trusted. And I hope that Cleveland comes out of this division because I think they will compete better with the other teams in postseason. I hope the Twins just crumble. I might be a little bit biased. I might be hating a little bit because of my betting, but that team cannot be trusted.
I'm just going to echo, excuse me, pretty much everything that Chubb said. I don't trust the Twins rotation down the line other than Joe Ryan. Other than that, I think everyone's either really close to a 4 ERA or over. I think he's the only sub-4 starter in their rotation. Again, I don't really trust them down the stretch. The Guardians, I'm riding with them just like everyone else.
Before we move on to the American League East, save the best for last. Real quick, do we think the Cleveland Guardians can stack up? Because I feel like in baseball you have tiers. National League, you got Phillies, Dodgers, Braves are a little below that now. They've fallen off. And then you have the other teams. American League, you got Orioles, Yankees. The Astros have been there. We expect the Astros to be there, possibly Seattle. Do we put Cleveland in that same category with those teams? If they're in a 7-game series against one of those elite teams, are we giving this team a chance?
I think personally, it's just going to come down to the deadline. I think they need a couple more pieces. I trust the Orioles. I trust the Orioles more at this point. I know they're on a little bit of a skid. I also trust the Yankees more. But the Guardians, I don't know. I really don't know. That is a fantastic question. My answer is I don't know. I'm going to have to see what happens at the deadline. But right now they're playing some great ball, and they're very tough to beat at Progressive Field. So if they can get a high seed and have home field advantage, I like their chances, but they need a couple more pieces. That's it.
To answer your question, Pat, I would say no. I don't think they're in that upper tier. I just think that all of the teams in the Central really just – I know I was talking about the deadline and how much of a difference it's going to make for each team, but all these teams, from what I see, they just they play it for the long haul. You know what I mean? They're not going to go out and make a blockbuster trade at the deadline just to give them a chance in October. So I know the Guardians when Cleveland made a run. This is wow. Now it's 8 years ago in 2016. So I guess it was a while ago. They had a good team then, but that was homegrown talent and stuff like that. I don't see them or really any team in the Central making a huge blockbuster trade to put them in the tier that you're talking about.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem for them is their starting rotation. When you get to October, your starters just go out there and shove. There's no limit on, these guys will rest for 2 days. They're right back on the rubber. And when you're comparing their rotation to a Yankees or an Orioles rotation, I'm sorry, but I don't see it. I don't see it at all. Garrett Cole, Gill, all those guys up against Tristan McKenzie and Tanner Bibby, no.
Cookie Carrasco.
No, give me the AL East teams all day.
I was looking. Tristan McKenzie's in the minors right now, I believe.
I think he did get sent down. You're right, Pat.
Yeah. He's struggling, to say the least.
Right.
And that's supposed to be their guy.
It makes you wonder how this team has 58 wins, to be honest. Like,
they're just gamers. They know how to win.
Are these teams just beating up on the White Sox a lot? And then just
that was another thing I was going to say. A lot of these are skewed by just Detroit. Like, Detroit's not the best hitting team either. Like, they're playing Detroit and Chicago. And I mean, Kansas City really, like, yeah, they have a great staff, but they're not hitting either. Like, yeah, they're playing them, 16 times a year? Like, that's definitely part of it.
You can see why they sent McKenzie down too. His last 3 starts were Mariners on the 18th, Blue Jays the 23rd, Royals the 28th. He went 2 1/3, 4 earned. He walked 4, 3 innings, 3 earned, walked 4, 2 1/3, 5 earned, walked 3. Like, he's just he can't. Yeah, he's not. He has no control. He's just getting hit around.
You know what that makes me think? He's got like a minor injury where he just doesn't have his put away stuff and just can't control it.
Right. So they're where they're at now. If they can get him going, that would be huge for them. But I was gonna agree with kind of what Nick said. Like, coming to October, starting pitching in the MLB, you've seen teams take kind of a different approach, right? It's not like they'll let their starter go. They're trying to get 7 out of them. They'll let their starter go 4, 5 innings, and then start playing the bullpen game. And then if those starters have a low pitch count, they can bring them in 4 days, 3 or 4 days. So if they throw their ace, they can throw them again in game 3 or in game 4, depending on how many pitches he's throwing. So it's just a different ball game. So if you really got a rotation 1 through 5, and you can use your 5th guy as like a long relief option, it's kind of like a huge chip to the chess game that some of these managers will play in the postseason. So I don't think that the Guardians can stack up with some of those other teams, like the Yankees, Orioles, and even the Mariners or Astros. I would take over the Guardians at this point too.
All right, let's move on to the Elite American League East. Wow, is it heating up? So we talk about the Yankees. It's kind of the tale of 2 halves of the first half of the season for the Yankees. It started off on fire. We talked about Z, how pumped up you were. I mean, just gassing this team up. And then it's crazy. After we dropped that episode, this team kind of went on a downfall a bit. I want to talk about Rodon specifically. He hasn't looked like the same guy. Luckily for them, though, the Orioles have been on a skid here recently. They're 3-7 in their last 10. So right now, those 2 teams are tied for the division lead. But I want to talk about the Boston Red Sox, boys, because this team, we weren't even talking about it all previously this season. And now they're sitting 4.5 back right now from first place, 7-3 in their last 10. They've just been on a roll. They've done their part against the Yankees. They've had some great wins against them that I've seen. And they're going to be in it here down the stretch. Rays are 10 out. We don't expect them to do anything. And then the Blue Jays are probably going to be selling. Going around the room, oh, man, there's so much to talk about in this division. Z, start it out.
Yeah, totally different. This episode, my feelings on the Yankees than last one. Like you said, right after we dropped that episode, they went on a tailspin. I feel like everything was going wrong at once. Injuries, people slumping, pitchers getting shelled, just a lot of things going wrong at once with the Yankees. I don't think that the first half, like you're saying, is truly indicative of the team. And I don't think these last 30 games is truly indicative of the team. Somewhere in the middle, they got to make some moves. They have some holes in their lineup. So we'll see what the trade deadline entails. And they got some people will come back from injury, some minor leaguers that will call up that will hopefully make a difference. But yeah, the Red Sox, I truly think that they're going to put themselves in the division race. They really, that with them, their pitching staff and bullpen exceeded everyone's expectation. And that's the highlight of their team now. And I feel like this is a common theme that we've been touching on today. Is teams with pitching is they will, be the ones at the end.
And Devers is Garrett Cole's daddy.
Devers is everyone's daddy right now.
Yeah, he is. They're really good. Yeah, the Red Sox are really good. He is so good, man. That guy's putting up numbers right now. Like, it's unbelievable. I think that the Yankees better hope they don't run into the Red Sox in the postseason. I'm looking at the splits right now, and the Red Sox are 29-17 on the road, and they're 23-25 at home. And you got to think that come October in that environment, if they're at home in the playoffs, they're going to be ready to go. They're going to be ready to go, and the crowd's going to be behind them, and they're going to be a very dangerous team. I still think the Orioles take this division, though. They've been very consistent. They are slumping right now, but it's a long season, 160 games, 162 games. Like, teams are going to go through peaks and valleys. The Orioles just look like the most complete team. They play great at home. They play great on the road. They got the pitching. They got a zillion all-stars, and they got guys that got snubbed too. The Yankees, if they don't run into the Red Sox or the Astros, I think we might see an AL East, ALCS. But I would take the Red Sox at dog money if they get matched up against the Yanks in the postseason. I'm not going to lie. I think that would be a great bet to make. But I think the Yanks are a great team too. They're going to make noise, but they got kryptonite, and their kryptonite is the Houston Astros and Rafael Devers.
I had a conversation with Zach's brother, who was a diehard Red Sox fan, around the beginning half of the year. The Red Sox were absolutely raking. And I was like, listen, Pat, they have a chance. He's like, they're just on a hot streak. They are slowly but surely just coming together as a team. I feel like the Orioles and the Yankees, their inconsistencies lie with their reliability on the long ball. They and home runs are a direct correlation of a winning team. So don't get me wrong, it's very important. But when the Yankees and Orioles aren't hitting home runs, they're not winning. And it's tough to rely on that, especially when you get towards September, October, when the weather gets shitty. Like, you got to have that, pitching, that if you need to go and get a 1-0 win, I trust the Red Sox to do that more because Tanner's pitching lights out. Cutter Crawford. They got Kenley Jansen in the pen now. If the Red Sox get a couple more pieces in their lineup, they could be a pest to a lot of teams. But yeah, the Orioles are going to come out of this division, and I got the Yankees and Red Sox taking the wild card. And Red Sox are just scary, man.
How do you pronounce Tanner's last name? Is it Huck?
That's why I said Tanner, because I don't know.
I think it's Tanner Houck.
Houck? I was gonna say, I was just looking at it.
AU.
I was looking at it, and I was like, how long till they start doing the hot if it was Hawk Tua merch? I was like, it's a matter of time. But yeah, no, the Red Sox lineup, other than Devers just being that rock, like Connor Wong getting that production out of the catching position for a lineup is huge. He's been arguably their best hitter other than Devers, but Tyler O'Neill kind of having like a good year after the Cardinals shipped him there. And a couple other guys like Duran, Kenley Jansen's revival, right? Kenley Jansen's been lights out for them out of the bullpen. So they are going to make a push for a wild card spot for sure. I think that's going to be probably the best race coming down the stretch is going to be that AL wild card spot.
One quick thing. This isn't a prediction. I don't know if it's actually going to happen, but just looking at what they could need as a team, Jazz Chisholm fits perfectly into this team. I think he would be a game changer for the Red Sox and could take them to the next level. If we know he's on the market, Marlins aren't going anywhere. If Jazz goes there, that could be an absolute game changer.
That's a good point.
Orioles, I think the Orioles, if they're that team that go out and get Crochet from Chicago or another one of these aces that are going to be shopped at the deadline, I think that's what's going to put Baltimore over the top because their lineup is unbelievable. They already have a good rotation, but I think you get one more dominant arm in that rotation. This team is going to be really scary. Z, I'm going to let you handle. You said the Yankees have some holes in the lineup. I swear, man, for so many years, I hear Yankees fans talking about everything that they need to do at the deadline, and then I look at their payroll and I look at the studs that they always have in their lineup, and I'm like, and these guys are complaining. First world problems. We got some holes in our deadline. No, you just need your guys to play better. That's just always been my anti-Yankee opinion. But what are those holes in the lineup? What do you want this team exactly, specifically, to go out and do at the deadline?
No, Pat, you're absolutely right. We say this, and then I look at it, and you're like, all right, well, we paid this guy, we paid this guy, we paid this guy. We're not going to make a move and have someone come play over him. It's like LeMahieu. He needs to step up. Torres, he's not getting moved. No one's going to trade for him. He's not playing good. He's just got to play better. Rodon, we paid him. He's got to pitch better. So I think realistically what they're going to do is make some moves for bullpen arms. And as far as hitters, I think that they're going to make a move for a corner infielder, third base or first base, because, I mean, the outfield is set with Verdugo, Judge, and Soto. When Stanton comes back, he'll be plugged into DH. You got Volpe and Torres up the middle on the infield. So really the only spots is first and third base that they're going to make a move for. So you're right. We just, that's what Yankees fans do, unfortunately.
You don't like this Rice kid long term?
Don't get me wrong, he's playing great, but I think it's been like 25 games. I'd like to see another 25. Like, I feel like that might line up right at the time of the trade deadline. And especially with the All-Star break, teams will find his holes. If he continues to do this for another 2 weeks, he might be the guy.
25 is a very small sample size.
Exactly. Yeah. Scouts are going to figure out.
Hitting cleanup. He's hitting cleanup now, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, that Saturday game, he had 3 home runs. Will go down in Yankees history forever. The Ben Rice Day.
Certainly going to be exciting watching how the American League unfolds here. Let's move on to the National League, which is absolutely wide open, it seems. Outside of, we see the Phillies dominating, we see the Dodgers dominating. We expected that. Besides that, boys, this entire league is just wide open. You have so many teams who are just in that wild card hunt right now. I was talking to Tyler about it, and it's like, yeah, if we could only go out, the Cardinals, if we could just go out and get this and get that, like everything you need on that grocery list, shopping at the deadline. But it's like everybody else in the National League, like 80% of the rest of the National League is in the same boat that we are. So it's going to be high demand and low supply at the deadline here, because there's just so many teams that need that extra arm in the rotation. There's so many teams that need that bullpen guy, position players that you could fit in with so many different teams, and it looks great. But let's go in the same order. We're starting with the West. Talk about the Dodgers. They're 7 games up on the Arizona Diamondbacks and Padres. I mean, Padres have had their ups and downs. Diamondbacks have had their ups and downs. Diamondbacks are starting to play a lot better now, but they're not going to be pushing for the division, it seems like, even with Mookie Betts being hurt for the Dodgers right now. The rotation's clicking. I mean, we see what Glasnow has done since he's gone over there. It's just ridiculous. They're probably going to make a move. I've read some things about Randy Arozarena, possibly. He almost got moved there in the offseason, and they might be the team that's going out to get him at the deadline, and that would be great for them. And they're probably going to make a bunch of other moves that just juice them up going into another postseason.
I think that if you are in the NL West and you're not the Los Angeles Dodgers, you should be in full sale mode, because we talked about it at the beginning of the season when I was on here for the first time. It's like we're finding reasons to not like this squad because we don't want to see them succeed. And I still don't, but they're going to. And honestly, my opinion has shifted so much after seeing these first 90 some odd games. I think they're going to do it, man. I think it's their year. They're not even playing their best baseball right now, and they're sitting at 56-40. Mookie Betts was like a clear-cut MVP frontrunner before he got hurt. He'll be coming back shortly, and this team really doesn't have many holes anywhere. They got a stacked lineup. Their pitching is unbelievable. Glasnow just, he'll be back soon. I believe he just went to the 15-day IL. But Gavin Stone is good. Yamamoto's good. They get good stuff out of all these guys that they bring in. And honestly, the other teams should just sell. Get what you can and sell. They're going to run away with it. Like I said, they're not even playing their best ball, and they're already kind of starting to run away with it. So sadly, unfortunately, I think the Dodgers are going to do a lot of damage this postseason. And we're going to be sad, guys.
Well, the one way to compensate that is just to bet on them, because then we won't be sad when we're making money. That's usually what I like to do. If I don't like a team, it's inevitable. The Dodgers are going to be there. They're probably coming out of the NL unless the Phillies can stop them. But yeah, the Dodgers will win the West. There's no doubt. Mathematically speaking, though, if you're the D-backs and Padres, you can't necessarily sell yet. And like the fan base will give up. Like it's just they can't yet because they're still in it. The Braves, in my mind, will secure one of the wild card spots. The next one will be completely up for grabs. And it's like a freaking coin flip. But D-backs and Padres, they are there. They're both over 500. You look at the Braves' first wild card spot, 42 losses. The next one, Mets and Cards. They're right there. But right behind them are the D-backs and Padres, a game or two out. So a lot of baseball we played left yet. I don't think full sell mode. For the division, yes. But they do have a shot at the wild card. But, I mean, past that, this division's irrelevant.
But I agree what you guys said. Dodgers division all the way. They have the best team, best organization in the division. Diamondbacks, Padres might make a run for a wild card, but that's all I really see out of them. I have a personal take on the Dodgers. It's that they always have a great regular season, but when it comes to the playoffs, they don't get it done. In the past 4 years, they made it to NLCS once. I think the guys just go out to LA. They get paid. Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Shohei now, Yamamoto now. They just go out, live a perfect life in LA, get fat and happy, play good in the regular season. But when it comes to the playoffs, they don't get it done. That's my personal take. Might be a hater take, but they're a good team. I won't get it wrong, but
no, it's a realist take.
We'll get to teams that I think have actual grit and fire in them to make a run to win the National League. But that's my Dodgers take.
Yeah, I mean, Dodgers might go out. I mean, they'll get Mookie Betts back here shortly. Huge boost to the lineup. So, if anything, they might add a bullpen arm or maybe a bottom end rotation guy at the deadline. But they're sitting pretty either way, right? No one's going to challenge them for the division, and they have the pieces obviously to make a run if they nut up in the playoffs, right? As far as the Diamondbacks and Padres, for some reason, I always have like a pessimistic feeling on the Padres that they kind of always find a way to like fall off. Like I could see them ending up in fourth place. Like the Giants will probably finish with a better record than the Padres will down the stretch. Diamondbacks, I'm not too sure what they need to add. I know like Christian Walker is playing really well right now for them. Corbin Carroll's a young stud. They have some good pieces. Ketel Marte, they have a decent rotation. Amani, he's been bad for them. He's been moving all around the last couple of years, and I know he hasn't been real well. Last time I bet on them, he was starting and he fucked me. So, yeah, I don't know. Diamondbacks, I think, are the only real. They have the real shot out of them, the Padres and the Giants, to make a wild card run. But other than that, it's the Dodgers, and I think the only team at this point in the rest of the NL that can, I think, in a 7-game series, take them is the Phillies. I'm never going to count out the Braves just because of the depth that they do have and their potential even without Acuna. But yeah, fuck the Dodgers.
Before we move on to the Central, I just want to second everything Z said. I mean, just this team gets glorified every regular season. They get glorified every off season. You have to hear about them. And then you get to when it gets cold, when it gets gritty in the playoffs, this team, they lost to the Arizona Diamondbacks, who were in their own division and finished how many games behind them last year? They lost to that team. It didn't even, I don't even think they won a game in the postseason last year.
Yeah,
So
they got
baseball
swept. Yep.
baseball is funny where like it only takes a couple games, couple great starts from a guy in your rotation, and then you get some hits on their ace and their second guy, and it could be over like that. Doesn't matter what your regular season was, where you just don't know. You really don't know more in this sport than I think any other. But let's move on to the Central. Milwaukee Brewers leading right now. Tower and I, St. Louis Cardinals. We started off very slow in the season, but we've gotten it going. We are still the only team with a winning record in the league that has a negative run differential. So that just goes to show how bad some of our losses have been and how bad we were at the beginning of the season. Pittsburgh Pirates, I mean, they're 6.5 back. They've fallen off. Reds are 7 back. And then the Cubs are 8.5 back. The Cubs just swept Baltimore, but just very inconsistent with the Chicago Cubs. Milwaukee Brewers, I know I'm a Cardinals fan, but I just really don't trust this team. I think that it's really the Cardinals division to lose. I just think we're going to go out. We're going to get another arm. We're going to get Tommy Edman back. We just got Lars Nootbaar back. And Wilson Contreras is really, since he's been back from the DL, he's really been on fire. He's in the 3 spot now, hitting for us. I mean, Arenado some days is hitting 6th in our lineup. So if we got Nolan Arenado hitting 6th in our lineup, I like where our team's at. Alec Burleson, another guy. I don't want to gas them up too much right now. Paul Skenes has been unbelievable, boys. I mean, he has now tied for the least amount of starts in Major League history starting in the All-Star game. So that just goes to show how dominant this kid has been. But going around the room here, what do we think about this division?
I'll get the ball rolling. I think you are kind of spot on with your Cardinals, and you're trying to be unbiased, which I respect. But the Cardinals are a legit contender. If they don't take the division, I think they will probably be the last wild card spot. And we'll get to the Mets. I'll talk about them and my worries, but I think if the Brewers do pull this division out, which they probably will, they are solid. The Cardinals could easily take a wild card spot. They are legit. I'm not buying into the Pirates hype. Yes, I'm buying into the Skenes hype, but not the Pirates hype. They're not a good baseball team. I think they have a lot of pieces, but they're not there yet. So I think they're irrelevant. Reds are a little scary. And yeah, the Cubs, very streaky. When they are on, very tough to beat, but very streaky. I don't see them pulling it out. I really like your Cardinals to scoop that second wild card spot. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. And if it's not going to be the Mets, I hope it's them for you guys.
I'll just say that the Cardinals have and always, well, I can't say always will be, but over the last, 10 to 20 years, they're just a well-oiled machine and a well-run organization that just always seems to be there. And they're continuing to show us again this season that they're going to be there. You look at the team, you really don't know what to expect. There's definitely some bright spots. There's definitely some holes. And here they are sitting at 50-45 right now as we record this. I expect them to win the division. Just compare their roster to the Brewers, and it's like, what do the Brewers, what is like the bright shining stars of the Brewers organization? Yelich? And it's like, that's kind of it. I just don't see it with them. I don't trust them kind of the same way I don't trust Minnesota. And I just don't see it. I don't see anything.
I was ready to write off the Cardinals in the beginning of the year and like chalk it up to like their guys are over the hill and stuff like that. Their young guys haven't panned out, but I mean, they've in the last month they played great and put themselves back in the running for wild card and division. They'll fight for that. The Brewers, I kind of have the same feeling as you guys. Like they remind me of the Rays, like the National League version of the Rays. They kind of they don't lock anyone up long term, really. Besides, I think they signed Yelich long term, but that makes perfect sense. Like they just traded Corbin Burns, and they're still good. Like they just make a lot of questionable moves, and they still have a good team. So they're one of the teams that just annoy me because they don't pay their players. They get rid of their players at their highest value, and they're still good. So
The Cardinals, that like Pat said, they've been playing good ball. The lineup's been finally coming together, right? We're going to get Tommy Edman coming back here soon, and you can kind of plug and play him anywhere. So they just have a lot of depth to their lineup and what they can do in the field. And who knows, maybe even down the stretch, they add Jordan Walker to the playoff roster, and maybe he can, find his swing and give them a little bit of added juice there towards the end. But other than that, their bullpen has performed. I couldn't even guess that they would be performing this well. There's just a few guys that I thought would be like a 4.45 ERA, and they have like a 3 or a sub 3 ERA right now. They're just overperforming, in my opinion. It's just that rotation. How long can those fourth, fifth guys hold up, like Lance Lynn, Kyle Gibson?
It's a must. It's an absolute must to get somebody at the deadline. Like Michaelis has had his ups and downs too. I just don't trust. The analogy I was about to make is I feel like our rotation is an old car and it's going along just fine right now. Like it's getting the job done. But in the back of your head, you have that thought of like, this thing could break down at any given moment. And that's how I feel about our pitching rotation. Bullpen has saved our ass this year. I think maybe one of the most underrated trades in Major League Baseball these last years is when we traded Edmundo Sosa to the Phillies for them to go on a little playoff run with a utility guy, and we get Jojo Romero back from them, lefty specialist in our bullpen that has just been lights out, 8th inning guy. Ryan Helsley has been dominant. He's the only guy in the All-Star game from St. Louis. And then in the 7th inning, we got Andrew Kittredge, who we picked up this offseason. Just another one of those underrated moves that has really benefited this team. The bullpen has carried the load. The lineup is there. We got the depth, like you said, Tyler. Just guys like Nolan Gorman, who's had his ups and downs, you need to hit better. Like Nolan Gorman should not be hitting in the 9 spot, hitting 216, whatever he's hitting right now. Just unacceptable. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun down the stretch, and should be an exciting race in the Central. Moving on to the National League East. Powerhouse Philadelphia Phillies. They right now have a run differential of plus 125, which is best in the majors. The rotation is what it is. It's just, I believe they have 4 pitchers that have made the All-Star game and 1 that got snubbed even. So this team is just on absolute tear right now. Braves right now are 9.5 back of the Phillies, and the New York Mets. Matt, Nick, I know you guys, it was very pessimistic previously talking about this team, but they've really turned it on. They've really turned it around. I feel like this team has a chance at a wild card down this run, and that's all you can ask for. That's all you can ask for right now if you're a Mets fan, being what it was to what it is now. You guys have got to be, feeling a little juiced up at least about that your team is actually, they're fighting. They're fighting here down the stretch.
I think we're going to make the wild card. And I'll give you a couple reasons why. Number one being we are not getting our best baseball out of some of our biggest bats right now. Jeff McNeil was the batting champion like 2 seasons ago, and he's hitting 215. Chubbs and I were watching a game the other day, and this guy's lacing balls right up the gut, right into a shortstop's glove. Like, he's still putting bat on the ball. Looks pretty good. If he starts hitting, watch out. Alonso, I don't know if it's the trade talks or what, but something is wrong with him, and he's not doing anything right now. He looks completely lost at the plate. If we're going to trade him, let's hurry up and do it so we can get someone in there that's going to produce. Or just come out and shut that shit down. Let him get a mental reset. Say, listen, we're all in this year. We can make the wild card. We can make a push. We're not getting rid of you. You're not going anywhere. Bring his brain back down. Like, it's like his head's outside of his body right now. And he's just not producing. And I think the trade talks are a big reason for that. So I personally would like to keep him. I don't know who we're going to go get. I mean, he's a threat in the lineup. There's no debate. You got to have him in the lineup. He protects the other guys. And we're deep. We are deep. We have so many guys, top to bottom, and they can play all over the place. I didn't know Jose Iglesias was going to drop the song of the summer and ignite this team on the run that we're on right now. I mean, this guy's hitting 350 right now, and the team is having so much fun. So much fun. And I think that's what makes them dangerous, is they're having a lot of fun out there on the diamond. Their starting pitching is performing a lot better than expected. Our best guy, Senga, isn't even back yet. Our problem, and I know Chubbs will talk about it too, is we need a couple bullpen arms. That's it. We just need a couple bullpen arms. And honestly, I think this team is set. Edwin Diaz needs to return to form. And on top of that, we need two guys. We need two arms, and we need Edwin Diaz to return to form. But this Mets team is legit. There's a lot of good pieces, and it's actually legit. It surprised me, and I'm excited because if you can make it to October, you never know what's going to happen. And I think we're going to be there. I really do. If they can make the postseason, I think this season's a success.
I think this division is written in the stars. Phillies going to run away with it. Braves have gotten the short end of the stick, losing Strider and Acuna, just dealing with injuries all year. I actually, as much as I don't like them, I do feel bad for them. They should be performing better. But yeah, let's talk about the Mets for a little bit. I've mastered the fact that bias cannot be taken. Like, I cannot have any bias with the team. I just got to get it straight. I'm enjoying this run. Nick made a lot of great points. There are people that are underperforming that if they get going, it's very scary. Very scary. But we also have a lot of pieces that are working. Harrison Bader, what a steal we got with him. Mark Vientos, looking like an all-star. It's crazy. But the biggest thing with the Mets right now, not just their bats, but it's their defense. Their defense is insane. Iglesias, he went there for his defense, and now he's hitting too. It's like Lindor, I think he's like under his fielding rate is wild. Like, that's why I think he got snubbed the most out of the All-Star, is because of his defense and his leadership. But just so many pieces coming together. It is very fun to watch. Starters performing like they should. We're going to get Senga back. Like, a lot of good pieces. I think we got another jab coming up too from the minors. Just a lot of bright side to this team. But the bullpen is, I've never seen it this bad. I think we just need to revamp, just clear house, get the bullpen out of there and just start fresh. It's actually embarrassing. Like, just the other night, like, they're up 7-2 on the Colorado Rockies and they almost blow it. It's like, your bullpen blowing a 5-run lead with the Rockies. Like, come on, man. Without bullpen pieces, I think we need at least 3. We might sneak a wild card spot, but not going anywhere with that bullpen. With that being said, this offense is fun to watch. It really is. And this is without Alonso. We got Nimmo just playing his part, not trying to do too much, like just having great at bats, getting that on base percentage up, drawing walks. I think he like leads the league in hit by pitches. Dude's just taking balls to the face, pause, and just loving it. It really, this whole like the whole Mets vibe the last 2 months has been spectacular. I hope they can get a couple bullpen pieces and make a run, but history will tell us. Like, I'm gonna slow my roll. I'm just gonna. I did put my annual Mets future bet to win the World Series in there. So if that somewhat gets hedgeable, drinks are on me. But no, we need some bullpen pieces bad. Other than that, I love what I'm seeing. I really do.
I know we've talked about a lot of teams that they need this, they need that. I feel like the Phillies are like a complete team, man. They're from their starting staff to their bullpen to their lineup. Like, I don't know what can they add. They've had guys go down and guys fill in. Was it Trey Turner went down? I think at the end of April or sometime in May. He missed like 3-4 weeks, and then they had, I don't know who, if they called up or made a move for someone, but I forget his name. The guy who filled in for him was like had a 850 OPS. It's like they are just one of those teams this year that they're dominating and everything's clicking. It's one of those years for them.
They lost Harper and Schwarber for a good couple weeks too, and you could tell a little bit, but yeah, I think it was Sosa? Was it Sosa the one who replaced Turner?
Yeah, I think that's
Probably.
right. Yeah,
Edmundo.
Yeah, he's hitting like 285, I believe.
Right.
Just put a replacement
going in where he can.
It's hard to nitpick this team. I just gotta, call it what it is.
One thing about the Phillies, though, and I rest my case after this, whether it's self-implemented or by the media or by fans or whoever, they have very high expectations this year. The expectation, in my opinion, is it's World Series or bust. As of late, it's a long season, but as of late, I've watched some Philly games. They kind of look like, they're the only 60-win team in the league. They're the best team in the league. I'm nitpicking. But they look like they're going to work. It doesn't look like that much fun. And if you're not having that much fun and expectations are through the roof, it's not always the best thing. The Mets are having fun. And for the first time in a long time, there is not a single expectation from this squad. And that's a division rivalry. I think anything can happen, man. I usually am very critical of the Mets. I don't expect us to go out and win the World Series or something like that. But when a team is having fun and they're hitting the shit out of the ball, we're dangerous. We are very, very dangerous.
No, Nick, you make a really good point and this can be applied to every division we've talked about. The expectations are high for those top tier teams. But when you got a team fighting around 500 that's just having fun, they're playing with house money. There's no pressure. It's like, oh, yeah, no, we were thinking about selling 20 games in the year, now here they are. They're playing with house money, no expectations, no pressure. It is fun to watch. It's got to be fun for them to be playing, and it is fun to watch as a fan. I am absolutely loving this. You're spot on, though.
Great addition. Teams with nothing to lose are sometimes the most scary teams. Tyler, go ahead.
The Phillies, they are, to reiterate what everyone's saying, they kind of are like the complete team. They don't really have to go out and make any trade to solidify anything. They're the best record in the MLB right now. So they're kind of like, in my opinion, the favorites to take the Dodgers down, if anybody, in the NL. The Braves, they had their best player and their ace both go down for the season. So they're kind of in a tough spot, right? Like, they have a good outlook on the wild card, but it's like, do you give up, good minor league pieces in your farm system to go and get somebody who might not be needed next year when Acuna's back, or go get an arm that might not be needed next year when Strider's back, or, so they're kind of in a tough spot as far as the deadline goes, because you don't want to give up too much when you have two major pieces that could put you over that hump that are just hurt. But I do hope the Mets keep this up and they sneak in. Chubbs, I'll be seeing you at Curly's if your futures bet holds up. So
Couple quick props I gotta throw out there. The Mets and the Cardinals are both plus 115 to make the playoffs. I think personally both of them do end up squeaking out a wild card spot. So, but both of those have great value.
can you parlay that?
Can't
Fuck.
maybe on FanDuel. FanDuel is very lenient with that stuff, but not on DraftKings. No,
Heard that.
The Cards could freaking win the division.
they really could. Yeah,
They got two chances to make it. So that's a great bet for them.
I know it really is.
We're coming up. We're over an hour now, so let's get into the All-Star preview here. Just going around, kind of want to blend the All-Star game and the Home Run Derby together. What are we most looking forward to? I feel like the All-Star, just everything, the extravaganza that it is, I feel like it has kind of faded away, in my opinion, these last few years. I don't know if it's just getting older. I don't know if it's the game now that it hasn't meant anything for some time now, where we used to have the home field advantage in the World Series based on who wins. And now there's just not that same meaning to it. To me personally, I'm looking forward to Paul Skenes starting this game. I want to see his stuff against 1, 2, 3 from the American League, and then possibly another inning. Just him against the big guns on the American League. I'm stoked to see that. I'm stoked to see what this kid does. I want to see his stuff against some of the best hitters that we have in this game. Z, what are you looking most forward to?
The exact same thing as you, man. Paul Skenes. Like, I was so pumped when he got announced the starter. Did he deserve it? I don't know. However, he's electric. Like, he's going to be box office. I'm going to be tuned in to watch him for sure. I'm guessing that two of my guys, Soto and Judge, will probably be in the top 3 of the American League's batting order. So he's going to be facing them for sure, which is going to be awesome. For me is Skenes. And I'm kind of with you with the whole All-Star, home run derby and All-Star game extravaganza. I think it is just like we're getting older and we're not like kids that we can base our day around watching the home run derby and things like that, which stinks, but it's life.
But we can bet on it.
True.
And I got 2 bets for you. Number 1, I'm going to take Adolis Garcia. The guy hasn't done shit this year, like Pat said earlier, but he has hit some bombs. In the games in Arlington, Texas at his home stadium, he's the second favorite right behind Alonso, sitting at plus 425. So that's my bet number 1 for the home run derby. Bet number 2 is going to be Teoscar Hernandez. When I'm capping a home run derby, first off, you can't cap a whole lot. Okay. This team plays in a dome. So what am I looking for next? I'm looking for a physical specimen. I'm looking for a big dude that's just jacked, that's going to go out there and swing hard for the 3-4 minutes or 2 minutes. I don't know. They change these rules every single year. 40 pitches it is now, whatever. Big jack dude. Yeah, Alonso's the biggest guy out there. But Teoscar Hernandez has got some size to him, man. And he's a fun player to watch. And he's got a lot of pop. Sitting at plus 1,000, I think, is a little bit disrespectful. I mean, it's the home run derby. So I'm going to go with the hometown guy, Adolis Garcia. And I'm going to go with Teoscar Hernandez. I think there's good value there for him. In terms of the game, I'm excited to see the pitching. I'm going to be hammering the under in this game. There is pitching out the wazoo on both sides. But the NL especially has some of these names on the NL is just Ronaldo Lopez, Chris Sale, Skenes, Suarez. Logan Webb's having a good year. Like Helsley from the Cards, he'll come in and probably shut the door on this game. And I think it's going to be fun. I like seeing pitchers duels when you got like these big premier names going. It makes it exciting. One swing of the bat might be enough for one of these teams to win the game. I think it's going to be airtight. On paper, I would go with the NL. But like I said, man, you never know. Like Skenes could give up a solo shot to the leadoff guy, and that might be the only run in the whole freaking game, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, when we're kids, I feel like we're watching the introductions, we're watching the whole lineup get introduced, we're watching all the pregame shit. Now we're just like start time's 8:00. All right, bet. And then we just throw it on there. And the past couple of years, I've kind of just like had it in the background. When it gets to like the 6th, 7th inning, if it's a 1 or a 2 run game, then I'll kind of tune in, and that's probably more so what's going to happen this year again, to be honest with you. So, but the home run derby, because you can bet on it, and I think there are some good odds here. That is more so what I'm excited for. I don't know. I mean, just looking at the field, the two, well, really the three, it was Alonso, Adolis, and Ozuna. Ozuna's been swinging the bat great this year. I just thought Pete Alonso, before even looking at the odds, was like, to me, the hands down favorite. And then he is at plus 300, and then it's Adolis at 425. But you're looking for those long shot guys who have a chance. Pad's boy, Jose Ramirez, is sitting down there at plus 1,300. And we all know the home run derby is a little bit different. Like Gunnar Henderson, Nick, you mentioned, I think he's leading the league or is close, right, with 27 bombs. But there's a difference between being a live game hitter and then a home run derby hitter. There's just a difference, obviously, to it. It goes without saying. So it's like those guys who kind of come in like Gunnar Henderson. You don't think of them as being like a home run hitter, but they're just on a tear and they're killing it. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes out here and finishes in the bottom 4. But you get guys like a Teoscar Hernandez, Jose Ramirez, who are sitting down there at the bottom. They might end up coming top 4. So I don't know. I like Pete Alonso to win it all. And then my long shot, I'll definitely throw something on Jose.
Yeah. So I'll start with the home run derby. I'm not sprinkling on anyone. Any money I put towards this will be going on Alonso. This is his Super Bowl. This is his World Series. He lives for this shit, man. He lives for the home run derby. He's already training right now. He the back of his mind, he's in the cage. He's like, oh, he's just ready for this shit. I would never bet against him. There's a bunch of props in here that are really interesting. But they have a straight forecast. So I will be sprinkling on Alonso to beat Gunnar Henderson, which is 16-1, very fat. And then I also like the longest home run prop. I think it's like they have them for individual people, but Adolis Garcia's is only like 458.5. He's gonna hit one almost 500. Like that's a no doubt. So I love that play. But yeah, no, I'll never bet against my boy Alonso. As much as he's underperforming this year, this is usually what gets him going too. And I hope. Like, I'm rooting for him to actually do well in this so it gets him going, gets him that confidence. I have a lot to say about the All-Star game. You mentioned before that, it's not as popular or whatever anymore. And I agree. And I think I might know why. Some people like the pitcher's duel, but I think a lot of people like Slugfest. And the under is just an absolute wagon in this. 9 out of the last 10. But the biggest trend of all, and I might put a large sum of money on this, the American League. They have won the last 21 of the last 25. 21 of 25. And they lost last year. My math brain is going absolutely nuts right now. They lost last year, and they're hitting at over 80-something%. They're both stacked, but I mean, I got the American League winning again because, I mean, before last year, they won 9 in a row. And before that, they won like 12. It's crazy. Like, the American League just wins. I don't know what it is about them, but I'll probably be putting a nice chunk of money on the American League to win that game.
Yeah, they've kicked our asses for the entirety of our lives, it seems. It's just the same shit every year. Couple things before we close it out here. I want to talk about all-star snubs. We'll go around the room here. Each get an all-star snub. But Pete Alonso, something about him. You said that was a great way you put it. Like, this is his Super Bowl. This is his World Series. And something that rubbed me the wrong way about him was when he made a comment and he said that he wouldn't participate in the Derby that if he wasn't invited to the All-Star game. So that's something that just rubbed me the wrong way about him, because it's like you're kind of forcing them to put you in the All-Star game because obviously you are the Derby guy. Everybody wants to see, like, you're the box office for the home run Derby. Everybody wants to see you in the home run Derby, but you're kind of like holding the league to, all right, well, you got to put me, it doesn't matter what my numbers are, you got to put me in, even if it's putting me in over my own teammates that might deserve it more than me, like maybe Ninmo or Lindor or whoever. That's just something that rubbed me the wrong way. If you guys want to counter that, it's on you. But biggest all-star snub around the league right now for me is Ronel Blanco. Talk about how the Houston Astros have turned it on here. Right now, guys, Ronel Blanco is sitting with a 2.53 ERA, fifth in all of baseball, and he's tied for fourth in wins with 9 wins. He's 9-3 on the year. He's got a no-hit bid as well. 30 years old. This would have been a great time to get that all-star appearance. Give it to this guy it's well deserving. Z, who's your all-star snub?
I'd say my biggest one is Christian Walker for the Diamondbacks. He went on, like, if you look at his numbers, they're great. And to touch on Alonso, if you want to compare, I did it. I put their numbers side by side. Walker hasn't beat in every category. And they play the same position, so it would have been an easy swap. I think he deserves to be an all-star for sure. Christian Walker is mine.
I was trying to figure out how Alonso made the All-Star team, but that statement makes sense, and I can't defend it. If I don't believe in it, I'm not going to defend it, and that is a derogatory, just asinine comment to make. Like, you're basically giving them an ultimatum. It's like, you got to earn it. You need to earn it. There are a lot of players. I think better than any other year, there are a lot of players that deserve to be there. Not necessarily players getting snubbed, but just more players this year that deserve to be there. And you giving the league an ultimatum saying, oh, well, like, they knew. It's all about money. So they knew they had to put him on the All-Star team to make the home run derby like a big thing. So, no, I actually lose a little bit of respect for Alonso after that statement. But, yeah, I agree with Walker. My snub is Lindor. Definitely a little bias here, but I've seen almost every one of their games, and without Lindor, they wouldn't be on the run that they're on. And to me, that's like an MVP caliber player. He's not, obviously not an actual, but he's playing like a valuable player that this team needs. And that, I feel like, should have got him into that lineup at least. Not starting, but he should have made the team. The terrible start, the comeback, but the defensive, like, he's just so defensively sound. I don't know. He's just a leader. I would have liked to see Lindor on there. I have a couple more, but he's the biggest one. Nick's got a couple good ones, though.
I got one guy for you from each side. I'll start with the NL. The only problem I have with my NL guy is I don't know who you get rid of to get him in there. Aaron Nola has had an incredible season, and he's building off of an incredible postseason last year. He went 3-1 in the postseason last year, sub-3 ERA. He was a great piece for them. I'll give you a couple numbers. He's one of 3 pitchers in the entire NL with double-digit wins. The other 2 are Ranger Suarez and Chris Sale. They are both on the All-Star team. He's top 10 in the NL for strikeouts and batting average against. He has a strikeout to walk ratio of 4.3, and he's on the Phillies. They're the only 60-win baseball team right now, and yeah, they have the best record in baseball. The problem is I don't know who you take out to get him in there, because the one knock against him, which it's not really a knock, but the one knock against him is his ERA is 3.38, and that's a little bit higher than these other guys. But I mean, he's got everything else, and he's had a great year. He deserves to be in there. I just struggle to find who you take out to get him in there. On the AL side, I'm sticking with starting pitching. How do you pronounce his name? Luis Gil. Did I say it right? Or are we calling him Gil? Heel. Luis Gil. He's got a 10-5 record right now. Opponent batting average of 171, which is just nutty. He gave up 18 earned runs in his first 14 appearances, and he's got a WAR of 2.5, which is pretty solid for this point in the season. He should definitely be in there over Tyler Anderson, which brings up another point that I want to get across. I feel like I don't know if everyone's going to agree with this or not, but Major League Baseball in the United States is the highest level of competitive baseball in the entire world. We don't need to see one guy from every single team make the All-Star game. We don't need participation trophies. You should be earning your spot on that squad. Tyler Anderson does not need to be on the All-Star team over Luis Gil. And I'm sure there's other guys in there that deserve to be in over him too, but for me, it's Luis.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I don't think that at, a major league level we're handing out participation trophies, right? So Luis Gil, though, definitely one of them. Christian Walker was a big one for me in the NL. Even Nimmo, right? Like, he's having just a great all-around year, and I thought, even him more than Lindor could have got a spot in there. For me, it's Andres Munoz, I think, for the Mariners. 14 of 16 save opportunities, got like a 1.5 ERA, 43 Ks, and like 36 innings pitched. Just a big reason why the Mariners are where they are too. And I thought that he definitely should have got in.
Tyler, you'll be happy to hear that they put Munoz in to fill in for someone who's injured. So
did they? Okay. All right, bet. That's a bet. Good shit. Good job, MLB.
All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you for joining us today, talking some MLB first half of the season recap and All-Star Game preview, All-Star Game snubs. It's going to be fun down the stretch here. Obviously, what we're looking forward to is this All-Star Game coming up and then the trade deadline. So once that trade deadline is complete and we see, these complete teams, what they're going to look like going down the stretch, we'll get you guys back on, provide some more analysis and talk about what's going on lately then. So once again, fellas, thank you for joining us. Have a great rest of your day.
Shout out, take the points.
Always a pleasure, boys. Great time.
Yeah. Good talk, boys. Good talk.
Peace out.
Peace, guys. Thank you.
Once again, I want to thank Z, Matt, and Nick for hopping on, talking some MLB baseball with the boys. But that is it. This is episode 31. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Spotify. Get at us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter. We will see you next time. Goodbye.
Peace.
When I come to your city, I'm a new score. Broke your high score soon as I step through the door. Tryna stack my paper up like a bookstore. Money kissing each other like a rock and roll tour. When I come to your city, I'm a new score. Broke your high score soon as I step through the door. Tryna stack my paper up like a bookstore. Money kissing